Okay, we talked about this during the PowerPoint presentation where you have this parameter on your scan tool called camshaft variance for both the intake and exhaust cams. So we pulled that up on a scan tool right now, and you can see the exhaust cam variance is right at 0 degrees. Now remember, the spec that you want to recall or remember is plus or minus 5 degrees. So, we said earlier during the PowerPoint that if you have a sloppy timing chain or one that's jumped a notch or two, this is where you're going to catch it on your scan tool. So you can see right now, looking at the data, there's a 0% duty cycle to both the intake and exhaust cams, control solenoids, and you can see the variance on both the exhaust and intake cams are right at 0. Now that's maybe an initial check, but what we're going to do on the next step is we're going to go into the scan tool, bidirectionally control the solenoids, ramp up 25-30% duty cycle, monitor to see how far the cams moved, to make sure that the actuator and the oil pressure control solenoids are all working properly. Okay, let's go ahead and take control of the solenoids with the scan tool. Now, if you look at my scan tool screen right now, we have you can see on the left-hand side, we've commanded the exhaust cam control solenoid at a 48% duty cycle. And on the top graph on the exhaust cam counter, as you can see, it is moving, meaning obviously the actuator is working. On the right-hand side of my screen is the intake side. You can see roughly a 50% duty cycle to the solenoid. And again, on the top waveform or the top graphic mode here, you can see the active counters on the intake cam, in fact, did move, verifying the actuator is working. Now, this is a snap-on scanner. Now, you might have some updates down the road to where, or maybe you have the factory scan tool, it actually shows you the position of the camshaft in actual degrees of crank rotation. But here on a snap-on scanner, it's just showing you the active intake and exhaust valve timing counters, verifying the cam in fact did move. Now typically, when these vehicles get some mileage on them, and you obviously have customers like me that don't keep the oil changed on a regular basis or not using the right oil, we just gave you one of the minimum oil pressure specs, like on the 5-cylinder Vortec motor, minimum 12 psi during hot idle, fully warmed up engine. The minimum oil pressure specs are going to vary a little bit between different engines, but I just want to warn you that low oil pressure is going to create cam phase problems and light that mill light. So don't forget about oil level, oil condition, and again, minimum oil pressure.